Before diving into this incredible story, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell. Every story here has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. The thugs didn't know these twins were deadly martial arts experts. A story of respect, mastery, and redemption. When Jaden and Jordan Carter, 17-year-old African-American twins, walked through the doors of high school for the first time, Jefferson High School in Birmingham, Alabama, a mixture of sensations washed over them. They knew, deep down, that this stage would not be like the others. The city, the unfamiliar faces, the corridors filled with whispers and curious glances, all of it was foreign, but they already carried within them the weight of a singular experience. Their mother, Teresa Carter, a strong woman with a face marked by years of service as a military nurse, had recently been transferred to the Birmingham Veterans Affairs Hospital. The move was a new ordeal, but for her, it was a new challenge that she faced with courage. For Jaden and Jordan, it was above all another change of scenery, another school, another city, another departure, and far from being their first. From a young age, they had experienced exile and the solitude of foreigners. After the tragic death of their father during a military mission, Teresa had followed his work around the world. For nearly 8 years, they lived in Japan and then South Korea, two cultures they had learned to love and respect. These years spent far from their home country had forged their character and transformed their outlook on the world. But what the students and teachers of Jefferson High could not imagine was that behind these two quiet, polite, and always withdrawn young men, hid a deep secret. In these distant countries, they had been taken under the protection of a rare man, Sensei Hiroshi Takeda, a legendary martial arts master with a stern but wise face, whose white beard fell in thin strands over his traditional kimono. A former instructor in the Japanese Special Forces, Takeda was not only an exceptional fighter, but a philosopher of discipline and self-control. Under his strict but caring tutelage, Jaden and Jordan had learned more than just how to strike and dodge. Their training extended beyond mere combat techniques. They had discovered to disciplines, this rigor which obliges to repeating the gestures tirelessly, polishing each movement until reaching perfection. A discipline that extended to their whole life, their way of studying, of behaving, of think. Inner silence, this deep calm which calms the storms of the heart, which allows one not to be a slave to his emotions, but to understand and control them. The art of never provoking, to avoid unnecessary conflict, not letting anger guide their steps, but to know how to respond correctly, only when the defense becomes imperative. The code of honor, a sacred commitment to never use their strength to dominate or harm gratuitously, but only to protect those who cannot defend themselves, to preserve justice and peace. These principles, etched in their flesh and minds, made them more than just teenagers. They were silent guardians, strong souls ready to face life's storms. Yet at Jefferson High, no one saw beyond their quiet stares, their reserved posture. The world would soon show them that this calmness did not mean weakness. The first day at Jefferson High School opened into a strangely peaceful, almost deceptive atmosphere. The corridors echoed with the usual hubbub of reunions, groups of friends reforming, laughter and whispers. Yet, amidst this commotion, two figures remained on the fringes, Jaden and Jordan Carter. Always together, almost inseparable, they moved with an almost studious restraint. Their upright posture, their gaze fixed straight ahead, their almost solemn silence, were intriguing. They carefully avoided groups, did not seek out conversation, and preferred to sit at the back of the room, where glances were rarely directed. They did not participate in the sports activities offered by the school. This absence from the playgrounds, this refusal to participate in popularity games, aroused astonishment, sometimes mistrust. Soon, whispers began to circulate. Why do they always stick together like that? It's weird. It's like they're afraid of everyone. Or what do these two think they are? They look like silent ninjas. Seriously, what's their thing? Their difference, their reserve, did not go unnoticed. They became an enigma in the corridors, an easy target for those who sought to assert themselves. And that was the beginning of the difficulties. Among the students, one group in particular began to observe them with cold hostility, the one led by Ethan Brooks, the son of the local sheriff, an arrogant teenager, used to imposing his law within the walls of the high school. Ethan, both admired and feared, took a very dim view of this pair of black twins who, by their mere presence and silence, seemed to challenge his tacit authority. With his faithful friends, Dylan, Luke, and Grayson, Ethan took pleasure in verbally harassing them. Every opportunity was an excuse to launch barbs full of contempt and barely veiled racism. "Hey, failed samurai, did you get lost on your way to Tokyo or something?" Ethan said mockingly as he walked down the hall. "We speak English here, not kung fu. You'd better blend in. Why do you always look at us like you're superior? Did you think the school was going to treat you like royalty?" These incessant provocations were like straws, threatening to break the camel's back. But the twins never let themselves be drawn in. They never responded. Never. They held their heads high, their gaze straight and impassive. Their silence was a shield, a fortress against the hatred that surrounded them. But their calm was often misinterpreted. For Ethan and his cohorts, not fighting back was synonymous with weakness, a sign that the next step would be total submission. This stoic calm was not a sign of peace, but a hidden strength, a discipline forged over years of training and apprenticeship, something no one yet suspected. One Friday evening, as the sun slowly set behind the Birmingham hills, Jaden and Jordan were finishing their long day in the school library. They had spent hours studying, immersed in their books, in studious, focused silence. When the last students had dispersed, they prepared to go home. As usual, they took a discreet shortcut, a narrow, dark alleyway that ran alongside the gymnasium, a path that few dared to take, but which allowed them to avoid the often crowded main roads. That evening, however, a menacing shadow awaited them. At the entrance to the alley, a black van with tinted windows was parked sideways, blocking the way. Its engine hummed faintly, giving off a dull vibration. From the sliding door of the vehicle, 6 figures stepped out. Among them Ethan Brooks, accompanied by his faithful sidekicks, Dylan, Luke, and Grayson. 2 other boys, whose faces were hidden behind dark masks, completed the group, adding a sinister aura to the scene. One of them held a baseball bat, the other a heavy metal chain, which rattled ominously with every movement. Ethan, a carnivorous grin on his lips, stepped forward first, his gaze shining with suppressed anger. "We're going to teach them a lesson they'll never forget," he announced in a cold, determined voice, like a predator ready to pounce on its prey. Jaden and Jordan stopped dead in their tracks, their hearts pounding, but without showing the slightest trace of fear. As if they had anticipated this moment, they took a deep breath, anchored themselves to the ground, feeling every particle of air, every vibration around them. Jaden calmly raised his voice, calm and firm. "We don't look for trouble." A heavy silence fell, as if even the night was holding its breath. But Ethan sneered, contemptuously. "Too late for that. You already brought them here." Jordan met his brother's gaze. A silent exchange, charged with unwavering trust, more powerful than 1,000 words. Without a sound, without haste, they slowly removed their backpacks and placed them on the ground, as if to signal their readiness to face what was to come. As Ethan leaped forward, bat raised, his gaze wild with rage, he wasn't expecting what was about to happen next. Time seemed to slow down. Jaden, focused, planted his feet firmly on the ground. With a fluid movement, he slid sideways for a few precise steps, dodging the attack with an almost unreal elegance. His movement was both swift and controlled, the result of years of silent training. Without letting Ethan regain his balance, he firmly grabbed his sword wrist, seizing his opponent's brute strength to turn it against him. With a sharp, calculated movement, Jaden swung Ethan's arm around, forcing him to fall heavily to the ground. The bat skittered across the concrete, moving out of its owner's dangerous reach. On the other side, Jordan faced a simultaneous attack. 2 boys appeared with a heavy chain, ready to strike. Without wasting a second, Jordan blocked one of the blows with his forearm, then pivoted quickly, precisely finding 2 vital pressure points on his assailant's shoulders. A dull crack echoed through the air as both opponents collapsed, temporarily paralyzed by the controlled pain of the struck points, unable to move. Seeing this, the 3 other boys around Jaden tried to surround him. But Jaden, as if moved by a supernatural grace, moved with the fluidity of an elusive current of air. His movements were precise, almost surgical. In 3 flawless movements, he disarmed Luke, snatching the dangerous object from his hand. A clean blow to the solar plexus, followed by a perfect sweep of the foot, sent Luke to the ground without excessive force, just enough to incapacitate him. Suddenly, silence fell. Only the boys' panting breaths could be heard. Panicked, Grayson looked away, ran for his lives, screaming in fear through the dark alley. In less than 45 seconds, what could have been a brutal massacre had turned into a silent demonstration of control and discipline. Ethan lay on the ground, his nose bloody, shaking, begging in a broken voice. "Stop, please. I didn't know. I didn't know you were." Jaden, kneeling in front of him, stared at him intensely, his voice calm but firm. "You knew nothing. You believed that your color, your name, or your violence made you strong. You were wrong." There was a suspended moment, where the weight of the words weighed more than the blows exchanged. As the fight had just ended in the alley, a few meters away, a student named Noah Green had watched the scene silently, hidden behind an old dumpster. His heart was pounding. Without hesitation, he grabbed his phone and started filming, capturing every movement, every precise gesture of the twins. Noah knew what he had just seen was far more than a simple high school brawl. It was a display of rare discipline, of total, almost artistic mastery. This wasn't just a fight, it was a message. The next morning, as the students arrived at the school, the video had already begun circulating. Posted anonymously on social media, it quickly went viral. Hashtags exploded in popularity. Hashtag Twin Carter Strike. Hashtag Les Jumeaux Silencieux. Hashtag Justice at Jefferson. All over the internet, comments poured in. Viewers were fascinated not only by the twins' impeccable technique, worthy of the greatest martial arts masters, but above all by their Olympian calm. Not an ounce of hatred in their gaze, not a word of insult, just measured, disciplined justice, imbued with profound respect. The video had become a symbol, a breath of hope in a sometimes hostile environment. Shortly after, the principal M. Hughes summoned Jaden and Jordan into his office. They entered, a little tense, expecting a reprimand. But to their surprise, they also found in the room Sheriff Brooks, Ethan's father. The sheriff, his jaw set and his gaze lowered, spoke with a sincerity that surprised everyone. "I'm not here to defend my son. I'm here to watch him take responsibility for his actions. What he did is shameful." He paused, then looked at the twins respectfully. "You responded with honor and dignity. You showed what true strength means." Principal Hughes, visibly moved, continued. "Jefferson High needs you. This school needs leaders, role models. We want to create a self-defense and mediation program, so that no one is a victim or an aggressor. We would like you to be its founders and teachers." A charged silence fell. Jaden and Jordan exchanged a deep, determined look. It was Jordan who spoke first, in a clear voice. "We will accept," he said, "but on one condition, that this program be open to everyone. To those who have hated us, to those who have rejected us. Because it is only through inclusion and understanding that real change can come." In the space of a few months, an almost miraculous transformation took place within Jefferson High School where previously mistrust, fear and divisions reigned. A new wind of respect and solidarity was now blowing. The martial arts club founded and run by Jaden and Jordan Carter quickly became a powerful symbol. It was no longer just a place where people learned to fight, it was a sanctuary where every student, regardless of their background, came to seek another form of power, that of self-control, inner peace, and mutual respect. Girls and boys of all skin colors, white, black, Latino, Asian, walked through the gymnasium doors curious, sometimes skeptical, but always eager to learn. Some came to defend themselves, others to release anger or the past. Under the twins' watchful eye, gestures became more refined, postures straightened, but above all, hearts opened. The classes were not just about fighting techniques, but about the wisdom of never seeking violence, the art of diffusing conflicts, and the power of forgiveness. At first, Ethan Brooks was the shadow behind the door. Too proud, too hurt by his own mistakes, he didn't dare cross the threshold of the dojo. He watched from afar, torn between resentment and a desire for redemption. Then, one day, a new breath of fresh air prompted him to enter. Silently, he advanced into the room, his eyes lowered. All eyes turned toward him, but no words were spoken. Jaden, with the wisdom of a master, approached him and handed him a kimono, a symbol of peace and new beginnings. "Here," he said softly, "we leave our mistakes in the locker room. Come in." This simple gesture broke the ice between past and future. As the years passed, the twins became respected figures far beyond the school walls. Their influence grew, fueled by the belief that they could change the world, one student at a time. With their savings, their passion and the support of their community, Jaden and Jordan opened their own martial arts school, called the Carter Academy for Discipline and Justice. The school was not only a place of technical learning, but a beacon of hope, a place where young people came to draw strength and wisdom. Above the main entrance, a motto was engraved in gold letters. "True strength is transforming hatred into wisdom, and fear into peace." Every day, this phrase reminded all who passed through that door that power is nothing without heart, that self-control is worth more than 1,000 victories, and that love can rise from the ashes of hate. This is how two boys, silent and unknown, managed to change the destiny of a high school, a town, and perhaps, one day, a world.